Good morning. I just got into the shop, 10 a.m., thinking after my conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, Griff, over at the Pembroke Kia. There's a new one in town. I guess it's the old Chrysler dealership. But anyway, we were sitting there chit-chatting yesterday about social media and sort of the changes that are happening. And so more and more lately, we're seeing less and less of like a product itself, but more about the industry or what's the people behind it, which is sort of interesting because like there's a lot of information about product out there. I mean, for instance, like if you go and look up RC car, the manufacturers of the RC cars, they do a great job with explaining the product. And if you really want to know about a product, it's all there. What you don't need is like an influencer or a hobby shop or whoever it is telling you what is already there. I mean, unless you come in and you know nothing, I don't mind explaining it. But for most of you that are watching this, are typically following RC cars and so on. So rather than like discuss and talk about like the product, we can talk about the industry itself and the process of being a store owner, the process of deciding product and stuff. So I kind of wanted to delve a little bit into a product line or a distributor that I haven't had yet. I'm not going to name their name because we haven't signed a contract yet. But I think the big thing here is like talking about how we went about obtaining this distributor. So first thing is we don't meet any criterias at all for this one particular distributor. For large distributors, you typically have to have like a certain square footage of space. You need needs to be a brick and mortar store. So brick and mortar in the industry, they refer that to as being like commercially zoned. And of course the buy-in. In a buy-in, you're not giving them like 30 grand and getting nothing back. You're buying 30 grand worth of product. But that's a lot of product to put out. So now a lot of distributors will overlook that 30 grand or whatever their set price is if you're already an established shop. So like if you've already got a shop and you're already established and you have a certain volume of product, you'll typically not have to sort of meet that criteria. However, the other two criteria is being brick and mortar, which is again commercial, or having a certain amount of square footage, which we have neither. We are not a brick and mortar to their standard, and we are also not the square footage that most companies would prefer. So there's a few reasons for that. What that does is that reduces the average person from getting an account, right? Because they try and it can devalue a brand. It can, because then they're selling it. There's no kind of control over it. So they require a store. It's really what they want. Store hours, you have to be open a certain amount of time. There's other criterias and stuff, but they matter less if you meet sort of the main criteria. Now, I recently lost a line because they were purchased by another company that I don't have access to. And it was really unfortunate. It was sort of a pivotal line for us. It was something that we just couldn't lose. And my reluctancy to jump on with these guys has been sort of on and off for the past 5 years. I didn't really find a need. I wasn't excited about the company itself. I didn't like certain things how it was ran. I think mostly because it was maybe a little bent out of shape about the fact that I didn't fit any of their criteria. However, like their criteria is too much for what we need here in our town here. We can't sustain a, you know, a 2,000 or 1,500 square foot shop. Leasing and renting a place is kind of beyond what this industry can really do in our town. There would be no profit in it. There's really no point. Where was I going? So anyways, I was really not a huge fan of sort of how that was ran. And I had also a lot of backup in the industry. Like I have friends that own a distributor in Vancouver. Actually, I have a few in Vancouver. There's smaller distributors around Ontario that have lower standards. Standards is bad, maybe a bad word, but different criteria. So I think the major thing that deterred us and maybe had sort of left a bad taste in our mouth was sort of the fact that we couldn't get it. I mean, there's rumblings in the industry. You know, some people don't like it or some people love it. I mean, you're gonna have that stuff anyways. So, making a long story longer. So I kind of keep up on social media with what certain brands and people put out there as far as like new product coming, and I had made comments along the way, not bad ones, just, you know, it was unfortunate we couldn't keep this brand in the store anymore, and we really love the product and we wish we could have it. And then I had someone reach out to me, and they asked why we couldn't have the product, and I explained to them, you know, we're a small store and we don't meet the criteria, so on and so on. And this person really kind of really advocated to the company that he worked for, that we were a real shop, that, you know, I had sent pictures and he'd seen the shop, and we had been around for a while. We have some sustainability. So he reached out to a few people, sent some of the pictures around, and it made its way to someone quite higher up. And that higher up person had reached out to us last week ago, I guess, mid-April. So he reached out, we discussed a few certain things and some of their criteria that they would have to overlook to give us an account. So things were looking up. Very excited about the potential of getting this line. It would change a lot of stuff for us. You know, we'd have access to boats and aircraft and stuff. I mean, we already did, but not at this level. So we're still in the works. We don't have, you know, we're not signed on the dotted line yet. But this person did reassure us that, you know, if any sort of hiccup or something came along, that he would make sure it got cleared by him personally. So that's really cool. Things were looking up, and this is something that I'm 98% certain that we're going to get. We're going to have the account. We've had several conversations with people. So things are looking up as far as, you know, a complete product revamp in our shop. So we primarily carry Traxxas and Team Associated and Kyosho and Red Cat. We don't plan on changing any of that. We just want to expand on the line that we have, or that we potentially could have. So yeah, this video was more geared towards explaining sort of what's going on and the persistence it takes sometimes by a store owner to make things work. And I think a lot of times it sort of goes unseen, you know, in behind, because it's not typically talked about. It's not talked about how, you know, when I'm done working in here, you know, I'll go scour social media and I'll see posts and I'll make comments and stuff like that. And that turns into opportunities, which is super exciting. Like, I love the idea of like breaking the norm. And I think like they've set the norm, obviously, for what the criterias are, but the fact that we don't fit it and that someone cared enough to sort of go out of their way to like help us, you know. And it goes without saying. I mean, mostly like we're here for the hobby. Like we're true hobbyists. Like I'm involved in the hobby. All my friends are involved in the hobby. We're just RC nerds. And I think that was the appeal. I think, you know, the larger stores have sort of lost that. You know, like you can go into well, what I call a big box store for the RCs, right? So it would be a chain store. It's not their fault that you get poor service. It's because there's just not enough hobbyists that have the budget to work in a hobby shop. You know, I think a lot of us would love to, but it's, you know, a hobby shop doesn't have the ability to pay what it needs to be able to pay a lot of the people that have the passion for the hobby. So you end up getting kids that are working in the store, but the store has the ability to carry the product, and that's something that, like, we don't have that budget, the capital to be able to carry as much product as, say, these big stores, but you don't get the service. We have the ability to have the service, but not necessarily the product in store. So we have to typically order stuff in for customers. And it's really cool that, like, actually all my customers really just, they're okay with that, you know? So it's cool. So this is also, I guess this video has turned into a huge shout out to my customers for being as cool as they are, to allowing us to grow and be what we are, and to have the staying power to sustain 5 years, and being able to reach out to a larger company and have them sort of recognize that we're big enough to have an account, and be passionate enough in the hobby that they were sort of able to overlook some of the things that we don't qualify for. I hope this video it's different than most. I think most places, again, we're going to talk about product and stuff. We touched a little bit, but I think this might let some of you know just how hard we do work from behind the scenes. Even though when you come in here, I'm pretty chill and relaxed and sit behind the counter. It doesn't appear as though I'm working, but rest assured, I'm working to keep the hobby alive, and to keep new product rolling in to 110 Hobbies. Thanks, guys.